act of defiance that served as a spark for the Arab Spring, in which numerous heads of state were forced out in uprisings. In December, a woman self-emulated outside the Israeli consulate in Atlanta. She had a Palestinian flag with her, authorities said at the time. And I'm going to touch on this last one a bit more later on. But I also want to give you some backstory here. Washington Post. So to my surprise, this article here, I saw, online, people saw the headline here and thought that they were trying to smear him. If you go on to read the actual article, that's not my takeaway. They give backstory here to who Bushnell was and his convictions. So an example of that, as they write, Lupe Barboza, 32, said she met Bushnell in San Antonio in 2022 at an event for a socialist organization. She said they bonded over their politics and started working together to deliver clothing and food to people experiencing homelessness. Quote, he was outraged, and he knew that no one who is in charge is listening to the protesters out there every week. He knows that he has privilege as a white man and a member of the military. Other friends from San Antonio said they had talked with Bushnell about the Palestinians and their shared distaste for the U.S. role in the Israel-Gaza war, but he had not expressed to them any indication of what would take place in Washington on Sunday. And he also apparently moved to Ohio earlier this year for a course for service members transitioning out of the military. He was apparently set to be out of the military by May, and he decided regardless that he was going to do this. Now, again, if you want further backstory, I mean, it discusses there's some religion in his past, or like a religious, almost like a cult-like group, it sounds like, in his past. I'm not sure how much that played into any of this. Like, again, these headlines, this is going to be a theme here. Like, this headline, you could take this as, hey, they're trying to smear this individual. You go on to read the piece, it isn't that way. But the framing is everything when it comes to news stories. Most people don't read the entire piece, so it really tells you the narratives that are trying to be pushed out there, as opposed to what the reality of the situation actually is. This is just an image, so of course I'm not going to show the video. Obviously, even if I wanted to, YouTube wouldn't let the video appear. But this image, and this part's blurred out, but the image here of this cop pointing his gun at a man who is burning to death on the ground. As PJ Harvey or Benjamin Miller here writes, can't think of a more iconically American and situationally fitting for the protest image than a cop pointing his gun at a man burning to death. Now, his Facebook post, that I believe this was the link to the live stream, because he live streamed this to ensure that it would actually be out there. But this was his Facebook post. Many of us like to ask ourselves, what would I do if I was alive during slavery, or the Jim Crow South, or apartheid? What would I do if my country was committing genocide? The answer is you're doing it right now. Yet, this is how, as Asal Rod here documented, here's how a lot of the headlines initially came out. Now, I'm going to discuss some of the changes that were made. So the New York Times, their headline, a man set himself on fire outside the Israeli embassy in Washington, the police said. So no discussions of Gaza, of free Palestine. The New York Times, the subheading, I'm not sure if this was added later or not, but the subheading does mention that he said free Palestine. So I want to give that context. The Reuters headline here did not make any edits. There are no changes here at all, but they do have a new article that gives more details. But a similar headline, U.S. airman sets himself on fire outside Israeli embassy. No mention of Gaza or Palestine. CNN Politics here, they include details in the article, but again, the headline, the way it's framed here, almost the exact same title. Airman sets himself on fire outside Israeli. It may be the exact same title. So they're kind of just parroting what others are writing here. And the Washington Post, same thing. No mention of Gaza. No mention of what the protest was for. It does include details in the article, but again, and you may think this is no problem. Whatever. The headlines say what they say. The details are in the article. Except this is not typically how other stories like this are covered. So Ryan Ruby here tweeted this out. The claim that U.S. media would have covered a self-immolation differently if it had been undertaken in protest of one of the country's adversaries is not hypothetical. So this article is up. I can show you right here. Russian journalist sets herself on fire and dies, blaming government. It's very clear what this is about. You read through the article. It discusses a history of oppression of journalists in Russia. So it gives, sort of the backstory to why this journalist felt the way she did. And again, giving rise to the details of what the protest was for, which is kind of the point of a protest this extreme, is to understand why a person would get to that level to want to do something like that. And it doesn't hide any of those details. It goes right into it in the headline, in the article. It's very clear. It doesn't discuss mental illness or blaming it on that. It's very clear what it's about. Yet when it comes to these headlines, they are a little more vague and don't give any of the real details till you start reading the piece. And in some cases, the piece is completely, what's it called? Blocked in terms of you need to be a subscriber to Reuters, for example. You can't read the piece unless you're paying them. So oftentimes the headline is all some people are going to get. Now, NPR. So some of the details, this is absurd. This is from NPR's article. As of Monday morning, NPR was not able to independently verify the man's motives. In the video that he shared, again, this video is accessible, widely available. NPR could have seen the video, even if you didn't want to see the part where he, committed the act. The part beforehand where he is calmly discussing, he's in his right mind. He's calmly discussing his motives and his feelings about Gaza, and it's not. There was no, nothing is hidden in terms of why he did this. Yet NPR appears to not know at all. It's weird to even write the piece if you're not willing to even watch the beginning of the video. Time here, this is an interesting one, wants you to know that Aaron Bushnell's self-immolation was against the rules. So they write how the Defense Department states that service members on active duty should not engage in partisan political activity. You could argue maybe this context matters and they're not trying to, obfuscate or whatever other motive they may have here. But it's just I find it to be a bizarre piece of information to include in the piece. Then again, the larger piece, I'm sure, adds more details, but still a weird fact there. This is where we get to just this doesn't give enough information. It also, watch how this clip from MSNBC ends.
We have an update now on a truly tragic incident in Washington, D.C. Yesterday, 25-year-old Aaron Bushnell of San Antonio, Texas, the active duty airman in the U.S. Air Force who set himself on fire outside the Israeli embassy in an apparent protest against the Israel-Hamas war, has died. That identification made by Metropolitan Police here. Bushnell filmed his own self-immolation on his cell phone, yelling, "Free Palestine," before collapsing to the ground outside the embassy. He was rushed to the hospital for treatment, but later succumbed to his injuries. And if you or someone you know is in crisis, call or text 988 to reach the Suicide Aid and Crisis Lifeline. You can also call 1-800.
All right, so a few things worth noting here. And as Joshua Hill points out, these are the issues with this. So it's only a 45-second piece. Again, maybe they did more. I have not seen other reports. This is what I've seen. But in this report, they first describe it as the Israel-Hamas war. And it's worth noting, the Washington Post earlier, when I was reading that other quote, they also said this. I don't have to please describe all this again. This is not a war. This is a genocide. One side has killed 30,000 people, civilians. The other side, when this series of fighting began on October 7th, they killed 1,200. No civilians should have been killed or captured, but understand the situation of the occupation, the ongoing blockade, the decades of bombardment from the Israeli government, backed by the world superpowers against Gaza, and even the separation of rights, whether it's in the West Bank, whether it's in Israel proper. It's knowing the context. you cannot, in good faith, call this a war. So that in itself is an issue. But then going on to, for some reason, having